If you thought Trump's press conferences couldn't get any wilder, buckle up, because this one might take the cake. Donald Trump sat down with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, supposedly to discuss strengthening the NATO alliance. But did Trump focus on international cooperation? Of course not. Instead, he went on a bizarre rant about annexing Canada. Yes, you heard that right. Roll the clip.
And to be honest with you, Canada only works as a state. We don't need anything they have. As a state, it would be one of the great states anyway. This would be the most incredible country visually. If you look at a map, they drew an artificial line right through it between Canada and the U.S. Just a straight artificial line. Somebody did it a long time ago, many, many decades ago, and makes no sense. It's so perfect as a great and cherished state. Keeping "O Canada," the national anthem. I love it. I think it's great. Keep it. But it'll be for the state, one of our greatest states.
And just when you thought it couldn't get any more ridiculous, Trump took it up a notch. After rambling about Canada, he pivoted to Greenland, because apparently in his mind, world domination is just a real estate deal away. He floated the idea of annexing Greenland and even suggested that NATO should help the US take it over. You can't make this stuff up. Roll the clip.
What is your vision for the potential annexation of Greenland and getting the potential?
Yeah, well, I think it'll happen, and I'm just thinking, I didn't give it much thought before, but I'm sitting with a man that could be very instrumental. You know, Mark, we need that for international security, not just security, international. We have a lot of our favorite players, cruising around the coast, and we have to be careful. And we'll be talking to you. It's a very appropriate, really a very appropriate question.
It's an issue in the high north, so the Arctic. So what you did, so when it comes to Greenland, yes or not joining the US, I would leave that outside for me, this discussion, because I don't want to drag NATO in that. But when it comes to the high north and the Arctic, you are totally right. The Chinese are now using these routes. We know that the Russians are rearming. We know we have a lack of icebreakers. So the fact that the outside Russia, there are 7 Arctic countries working together on this under US leadership is very important to make sure that that region, that part of the world stays safe. And we know things are changing there, and we have to be there.
And in yet another bizarre turn, Trump shifted the conversation to his election strategy, specifically how he weaponizes issues related to the transgender community to rally his base. Instead of discussing global security with the NATO Secretary General, he openly talked about using divisive rhetoric to push voters into supporting him, even at the expense of marginalized groups. Here's what he had to say. Roll the clip.
And I saw this morning where one of them is pretty well known, one is arguing, fighting like crazy over men being able to play in women's sports. I said, I thought that was tried. I thought that was about a 95, I think it's a 95% issue. But in a way, I want them to keep doing it because I don't think they can win a race. And I tell the Republicans, I said, don't bring that subject up because there's no election right now. But about a week before the election, bring it up because you can't lose.
When confronted with the real struggles of American families, crashing markets, wiped out pensions, Medicaid cuts, and even Elon Musk calling Social Security a Ponzi scheme while mass layoffs hit the Social Security Administration, Trump had the perfect opportunity to offer reassurance or a plan. Instead, here's what he actually said.
Mr. President, on tariffs, you made clear you're not backing down from this, but many American small business owners say they are concerned that these tariffs are going to hurt them. What's your message to them?
They're going to be so much richer than they are right now.
And yet, he keeps saying it over and over. You're going to be so much richer, so much richer. Meanwhile, Medicaid is getting slashed. Veterans are losing their benefits. The stock market is in free fall and prices are skyrocketing. Maybe instead of making empty promises, he could actually fix something for once. Lower prices, stop gutting healthcare, and maybe, just maybe, stop treating the economy like a casino he already bankrupted. But no, instead, Trump decided to pitch a brand new idea to the NATO Secretary General, who, by the way, used to be the Prime Minister of the Netherlands. His brilliant suggestion, sending American drug dealers to the Netherlands. Yes, really, play the clip.
And you see they're taking them out in record numbers. Gang members, gang leaders, drug dealers. This is a problem the Netherlands does not have. The Netherlands never had this problem. If you'd like to take it, I could deliver some people. I could deliver some nice people to the Netherlands if you do.
I'm not sure.
No, what?
And once again, on every level, this was beyond reckless, unhinged, dangerous, and just plain absurd. But Trump wasn't done. Next, he decided to go off about tariffs on Canada. With the confidence of a man who definitely didn't read a single economic report, he declared, "There won't be any disruptions. We don't need Canada for anything. They need us." Sure, because alienating one of America's biggest trading partners is definitely a genius move. Check this clip.
States, maybe our greatest state, but why should we subsidize another country for $200 billion? It costs us $200 billion a year. And again, we don't need their lumber. We don't need their energy. We have more than they do. We don't need anything. We don't need their cars. I'd much rather make the cars here. And there's not a thing that we need. Now, there'll be a little disruption, but it won't be very long. But they need us. We really don't need them. And we have to do this. I'm sorry. We have to do this. Yes.
Let's just take a moment to appreciate the sheer absurdity of this scene. Trump sitting there in the Oval Office, rambling about annexing Canada and Greenland, while the NATO Secretary General awkwardly sits there in front of the world press. Meanwhile, instead of pressing NATO to step up for Ukraine, Trump is busy daydreaming about territorial expansion like a third-rate Bond villain. And of course, because no Trump speech is complete without a blatant lie, he once again falsely claims that the U.S. has given $350 billion in military aid to Ukraine, while Europe has only given $100 billion. Spoiler alert, those numbers are completely made up. In reality, Europe has contributed more than the U.S., but facts have never really been his thing.
Of that little last statement. The rest of the statements he doesn't care.
So how does this new transatlantic cooperation, how do you envision it?
Well, that's one thing. I mean, we're on the other side of the ocean, and they're right there. And yet we're in for $350 billion because of Biden, and they're in for $100 billion. So it's a big difference. And it's unfair. And I said, you have to equalize. They should equalize. They should have. It should have never happened where Biden just gave this money away. Now, as you know, we have an agreement with Ukraine on the rare earths and other things, and that'll get us something back, a lot back. It'll get us our money back. We're not doing it for that, though. I'm just doing this to get the war stopped. I'm doing it really to save lives, but at the same time, we were treated very unfairly, as we all.
Trump, as expected, dodged the question with his usual mix of bluster and misinformation. Instead of giving a straight answer about aluminum tariffs, he launched into another rant about how America is supposedly being ripped off, despite the fact that the U.S. tariffs on aluminum have actually hurt American industries more than helped them. Meanwhile, the truth is that Europe's contributions to Ukraine have been larger than America's, and much of the U.S. aid has been in the form of older military equipment, which has actually benefited American manufacturers and strengthened the economy, not weakened it. But Trump, as always, prefers to ignore economic realities in favor of whatever conspiracy theory keeps his audience riled up.
Mr. President, a representative of Canada, the finance minister are in town and will meet members of your administration during the day. Any chances that you will ban on the tariffs on aluminum and the ones that are planned for April 2nd?
No.
You are not going to change your mind?
Look, we've been ripped off for years, and we're not going to be ripped off anymore. No, I'm not going to bend at all. Aluminum or steel or cars. We're not going to bend. We've been ripped off as a country for many, many years.
Just sits there, probably wondering if this is some kind of elaborate prank. But no, Trump is dead serious, rambling about how NATO should help the U.S. take over Greenland as if he's playing a game of Risk. This is the same guy who claims to be tough on foreign adversaries, yet he's begging NATO to support his bizarre land grabs instead of focusing on real global threats. And let's not forget, he's doing all of this while actively undermining NATO's mission and cozying up to dictators. It's not just reckless, it's downright dangerous.
But we've been dealing with Denmark, we've been dealing with Greenland, and we have to do it. We really need it for national security. I think that's why NATO might have to get involved in a way, because We really need Greenland for national security. It's very important.
And there it is. Trump continues his attack on our allies while giving a free pass to actual adversaries like Russia and North Korea. He calls the European Union nasty, a direct slap in the face to the very countries that have stood by us through thick and thin. This man can't seem to stop insulting the people who've had our back for decades, all while cuddling up to dictators who wish for nothing more than to see the US fall apart. It's an upside-down world with Trump leading the charge. Instead of strengthening alliances, he tears them down, playing into the hands of our enemies. Every time he opens his mouth, he's making us weaker on the world stage. And the worst part? It doesn't seem like he's even aware of the damage he's doing. It's like he's running the country like a reality show, and the stakes, they're real and they're incredibly high.
They don't take our agriculture, we take their agriculture. It's like a one-way street with them. The European Union is very, very nasty. They sue our companies. Apple was forced to pay $16 billion on a case that, very much like my cases that I won. They shouldn't have been even cases, but we felt they had no case, and they ended up having an extremely favorable judge and decision. But they're suing Google, they're suing Facebook, they're suing all of these companies, and they're taking billions of dollars out of American companies, many more than the ones I just mentioned. And I guess they're using it to run Europe or something. I don't know what they're using it for, but they treat us very badly. China obviously treats us very badly. Almost everybody does, and I blame.
Then Donald Trump lies and says that America can't sell cars in Europe, which is false play. The clip.
Michigan, because Michigan got so badly beaten by, what happened with Europe. If you look at Europe, take a look at the EU. We're not allowed to sell cars there. It's prohibitive because of their policies and also their non-monetary tariffs. They put obstacles in your way that you can do nothing about. But if you take a look at what happens, so we sell no cars to Europe. I mean, virtually no cars, and they sell millions of cars to us.
Donald Trump then boasts, completely making things up as usual, claiming he sent the federal government to storm into Los Angeles just to turn the water back on.
And I've been asking them to do that during my first term. I said, do it. I didn't think anything could happen like this, but they didn't have enough water. Now the farmers are going to have water for their land, and the water is in there. But I actually had to break in. We broke in to do it because we had people that were afraid to give water. They were, in particular, they were trying to protect a certain little fish. And I say, how do you protect the fish if you don't have water? They didn't have any water, so they're protecting a fish. And that didn't work out too well, by the way.
Here he goes again, repeating the same wild claim. His exact words? I invaded Los Angeles. He brags as if he led some kind of military operation just to open up the water.
I broke into Los Angeles. Can you believe it? I had to break in. I invaded Los Angeles, and we opened up the water, and the water is now flowing down. They have so much water, they don't know what to do. They were sending it out to the Pacific for environmental reasons. Okay, can you believe it? And in the meantime, they lost 25,000 houses. They lost, and nobody's ever seen anything like it. But
what Trump claimed was an invasion of Los Angeles is just another example of his detached, bizarre thinking. In reality, he didn't invade anything. What he actually did was send federal workers from the Army Corps of Engineers to Northern California after the fires had already been put out to mess with reservoirs that had no impact on Southern California. In fact, he ordered the draining of billions of gallons of water, flooding farmland in Central and Northern California, which directly harmed his own supporters, destroying their crops and jeopardizing their ability to farm in the summer. This reckless move didn't just hurt the environment, it harmed real people in the very areas that supported him. Then, when asked if America's actions should be concerning for our allies, especially regarding Russia, Trump casually dismissed the idea, saying he wouldn't worry about Putin at all. It's like he's living in a reality of his own making, completely disconnected from the real-world consequences of his actions.
go ahead, please.
Mr. President, some of our allies have said that they're worried that they could be the next to be attacked by Russia. You've spoken directly with the Russian president.
Yeah.
Do you think those fears are justified?
No, I don't. I think when this gets done, it's done. They're going to all want to go home and rest. I don't see it happening. Nope, I don't see that happening.
Don't forget to hit subscribe for more updates. Thanks for watching.